Well, good morning,
Yes.
everybody. What day is it? What time is it? Oh, it's SlapperCast time. Chad, what episode is this, Chad?
This is episode number 123.
1, 2, 3, baby.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Ah,
I'm going to call this version the taking of SlapperCast 1, 2, 3. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm
yes, I do.
talking about? Yeah.
How's everybody doing?
We're
Alive?
Very good. Very good. Pre-orders.
Super excited about pre-orders.
Pre-orders for Blagmatic are literally pouring in as we speak. In fact, I probably should close my email account so I don't get distracted. Yeah, we're just FYI, we're recording this on the Thursday before the show comes out. And just this morning, we opened up pre-sales for the CD edition of our new record, Blagmatic, which is coming out next month.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's tremendously exciting.
I'm excited.
Indeed. Yeah. Just if you haven't seen it already, if you can go to our site and check it out. Just the artwork is beyond a description. It's just you have to see it, and I can't wait to physically hold one. A CD, that is. The LPs are going to take a little while longer, but there's been a backup. We've known that since the beginning of time. There's going to be a wait for the not a wait, but they're just vinyl is definitely making a comeback, but it's to the point where we're not going to be able to get them as fast as we want them yesterday. So anyway, it's just been wonderful to see these people jumping in and sharing it around and just letting people, getting the word out. Very, very exciting stuff.
I was going to say, buy a CD now, just to get the excitement in your hands and in your ears, and then buy the LP later. Because the LP is, the CD is beautiful. The LP is you're gonna see all that artwork nice and big, and it's gonna be just mind altering.
Yeah, and do be aware, our friend Chris Longwood, mastering engineer extraordinaire, had lovingly mastered this record specifically for vinyl and CD. Did a lot of prep work on this, so it is ready to go as soon as the printers are ready to go. Yeah, apparently was it Matt Johnson who told you that? Because somebody warned us that there was a huge.
It was Chris Longwood.
Okay, yeah, it was Chris himself. Yeah, apparently the demand for vinyl in the wake of the shutdowns and all that stuff from last year is absolutely astronomical. So I guess a lot of people were making albums last year. So
indeed. So So it went out, the order went out yesterday. And then Thursday put the pre-orders out, and the response was great. We're looking forward to getting out and playing this stuff too. We booked a couple of shows to where I think there's going to be a record release party. We haven't nailed down the location, but again, spitballing here, but I'd like to play the record in a decent room, good sound system and whatnot, and play the record. I'm really excited to get it out there. God, it's the amount of nitpicking, tiny, minuscule little just steps you have to take to do this. It was just bewildering. I mean, just exhausting. Just getting there's so many steps. There's so many ways to. You have to cross every T and dot every I to make this thing happen. It's just been. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I want to record another record.
I thought it was cross every I.
Yes.
Cross every I.
Follow every rainbow.
Dot every T. Eric, was that what you were raising your hand for? Do you have something else to say?
I just said about the crossing the I thing.
Oh, okay.
That'd be fun. Trying to keep it effervescent today.
Yeah. Now this Patrick and I have been on the phone with each other a lot over the past couple of days, looking over the proofs and everything, and it was very reminiscent of when we were putting the finishing touches on standards way back in the days of yore. Yeah, it's kind of exciting. It's like, oh wait, looking at, there's a lot of things you just don't think of until you're looking at the proof in front of you. And there were a couple of technical things that had to be smoothed out with the printer too, just to make sure everything was working. But they've been wonderful, by the way. We're working with disc makers right now. Angela Pecora is our account executive, and she's been amazing.
I mean, not only that, but I mean, she's on you talking about Johnny on the spot, man. You send her a question, and she'll not only answer it, but she just lays it out for. It's like she works with musicians or something. She just, let me tell you the five. Let me tell you the one answer that you need, but I'm going to give you an extra 4 or 5 sub answers in case in case you need me to. Or very, very, just a delight to work with.
Yeah, and we're being very this album is precious to us, obviously. So there are a lot of special needs this one has. The vinyl as well. That's another thing we're working on separately. But there were some really custom, like high maintenance things that we needed for this, and I was expecting them to go, well, I don't know, that might be hard. It's going to extend the production time and all that stuff. And every question I asked her, she's like, "Oh yeah, we can do that, no problem. I'll put that down, put you down for that. Oh yeah, we can do it. Oh yeah, we can get it to you sooner than that. Yeah, no rush fee." Thank you.
Yeah.
Massive weight off my shoulders working with her.
And then the design, obviously the artwork is second to none. I really do. I called, spoke to a friend of mine, and I was telling them, say, look, these Iron Maiden's going to be calling us, asking, to design their next record, and it's that quality. But every, the attention to detail on. He didn't just what I would have done is just give you a cover for the record. There you go. But what he did was he went every single step, and he took care of the labels, down to the code, the barcode, just insane amount of steps. So it's just the recording the album is so much fun. Playing it live is the most fun. The sitting down and having to go through these steps is fucking tedious, and it's not fun, but you have to do it. And it's glad to be here.
Yes, Eric.
When was Standards released?
Standards was released in 2005, March of 2005.
March, 2005.
Well, this is a great time to say that this is the first Blaggards record out in 16 years, I guess.
Well, yeah, the first studio album.
Studio album, yes.
Well, no, the only album.
We could say
the only album.
The live out, Live in Texas has physically been out of print for 10 years now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah. So,
is this? I know we've all played on other records. I mean, just done other recordings. Is this the most involved we've been? 3 of us. Is this the most involved you've been in a record, or have there been others? Because I know, Chad, you did the artwork for Davy Bryan's CD. Is Anyone Driving This Bus? But is this the most in depth you've been with a CD?
Well, just not exactly personally for me, because I didn't have to do the artwork this time.
Yeah.
Not that I have to, but usually in the past it's fallen to me. The Live in Texas cover, which is the best thing about that record, that was a collaboration between all 3 of us, really. But it was ideas that Patrick came up with, me trying to implement them, and Mike had ideas too, and we kind of blended both things together. The front cover was something that Mike and I did. I did the star design, which was based on an idea that Patrick had for a sheriff's badge on that one. And then Mike did the back, which is kind of similar to our SlapperCast logo now, the high contrast, Thin Lizzy type thing. And then Mike also put that wooden background that's on the front cover. That was his idea.
Which
stuff like that.
Sorry,
go ahead.
What was the last thing?
I don't remember. I was moving on.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Vincente would say it's plagiarism.
Yeah. So this one, obviously, V did all the hard work on this one. All I had to do, and this was time consuming. It took me a whole day basically to make sure everything was all right. But you got to make sure the templates are lined up correctly. And of course, we're doing last minute changes to liner notes and all this stuff. And you look at the proofs and you realize there's other things you got to change. But still, it's far less work than I would have had to do if it was, for Standards, for example. And Live in Texas took a lot longer, I think, for me personally. So, I really appreciate V's hard work, and he's still working. He's not done. He is not done by a long shot.
Yeah, he's the like I was saying. The beautiful thing about the amount of work he did. He actually went through after he finished with the record. He went through to merchandise, and he started sending us the. I mean, this thing is beyond anything I could have expected, and yeah, he's and he hasn't sent one thing that's been well, I don't know. Everything has been, I want that, I want that, I want that. Everything that he sent was just top drawer. So we're just it's I'm going to well, I guess I shouldn't say this on tape, but I think I'm just going to go take him and stick him in a box and just keep him keep him just okay. Yeah.
Push the V button.
Yeah.
Eric.
Well, I was going to answer Patrick's question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yes.
If I can.
Yes, please go ahead.
If I'm allowed.
Okay, that's your time.
Okay, thanks for having me, guys. As far as Patrick's question, I think was something about, is this the most involved you've been in a recording? I'm going to say that from the performance standpoint and the actual in-studio production, it's the most I've been allowed or been able to contribute ideas or thoughts or stuff like that. So that's been a lot of fun to kind of, be like, well, what do you think? And actually being able, because usually it's like, play the song, hey, that sounds great, next song kind of a thing. And this has been definitely more of the three of us working together, especially when Patrick would bring in a new song. Okay, it kind of goes like this. And then the three of us would kind of like say, oh, how about this? How about this? How about this? And then just watching the creative process. And you guys obviously are doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and always happy to be added on the thread when it comes time to be like, what do you think about this? So definitely probably the most involved I've ever been with a record. And happy for that, because it's a great record. It's one of the few records that I'm the most proud of, personally, my playing on it, and seeing the artwork come out. It's just such a visually gratifying to know that after all the hard work we put in last year, when we were fighting a pandemic and trying to get together and keeping everybody safe while we're doing the recording process, seeing this record come out, it's just like, yes, so awesome. Thank you for your time.
And it was again. It's been a pleasure to record it, obviously. But the most fun thing for me is I finished a lot of these songs. Just go back to the first time that we played "Second Worst Girlfriend" for you, Eric. I told Chad, I said, "You shut your fucking mouth." No, I did. I said, "Don't tell him anything about the song. We're just going to play it. I want you to see what he does." And Chad said to me after, goes, "Holy fuck, that's why we did with and again, that was how the record was done, because I have more verses and more pieces that go in these songs, but because of the three of us, and Jeff too, and Paul Beebe, we can't say enough good things about Jeff Duncan and Paul Beebe, but they were really good at taking I remember, sorry, business end of the coffee. I remember when we did Sweet 16, and I was playing the opening riff during the verses, and Paul said, "Hey, why don't you do the second part over the because I was so deep in the song, I could not hear that what I was actually playing was the second part that I'd written, but I'm playing the first part over the verses." And he said, "Well, why didn't you play it?" And it was like a light went off. Just so many people had helped guide this. The only way that I can describe it is if you stick your face up against that beautiful painting behind you, Eric, and you stare at one part of it, and that one part, but when you pull back, and you can actually you can enjoy the whole thing, and that was the beauty of this one, was because Standards, what we did was we kind of just took the arrangements that had been, we're never going to do anything, we're never going to carbon copy anything, I mean, I think Folsom would probably be about the closest that we've got to just doing something as is. And of course, we have to throw another song in it because it's what we do. And but so writing these songs too, it was just, I don't know, that's why I wasn't going to come in and say this is the song. Hey, I'm Sting. This is the song. So blah blah blah. So there's just that part was a delight. That part was but I do want to say because we have some guests today, we have a lot going on. But I do want to say that the Omaha trip. Besides the pre-order, the Omaha trip is now up online. You can see it, and I'm going to tell you that if you like to cook, if you got kids, if you don't have kids, and you just like to cook, this is a great. I can introduce you to that. I can get you one of these signed. I know this guy, and I know his parents.
Well, where does he live?
Omaha. I'm telling you,
Omaha.
I can get you an autograph. Anyway, but this is a hysterically wonderful book. Yes,
Omaha.
yes.
Can we go to Omaha?
Yeah, we're gonna go meet him. So I do want to say that our information is up there, and this is a great family. This is a great family piece, and just it's we've already had people signing up on the record on the what's it called, the trip. So we're adding stuff to it every day. It's going to be a blast. And Screwball Whiskey and we've got another Screwball Whiskey announcement coming very soon as well. So with that said, we got some guests in today. Am I right or am I wrong?
You are right.
I'm right.
You are right. Yeah, Alan Hill of Alan Oldie's band, who has recently put out a new solo record. Well, I guess it was a couple of years ago now.
Who played on it?
ECH. Hey, Alan. We have Alan Hill with us today.
Howdy, guys.
Alan Hill.
Second time on SlapperCast.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure.
Hold on. It's a well-oiled machine over here, Alan.
Oh, yeah.
That's weird. I'm not hearing Patrick.
I'm just kidding. I was doing that on purpose. You're welcome.
I was looking at the waveforms. Like, wait a minute. Okay.
You kidder.
You've been stealing some of those elementary school Zoom tricks.
Yeah, you got it. So we have the introduction from Chad, but Alan, you're always very welcome. It's always great to see you. And I just want to say that we talked about you last episode because at Twangfest we had the pleasure of seeing all these bands that we never get to see because we're all in the same thing. And I have to say, your performance with young ECH here and Jack Saunders and the rest of the guys, I mean, just a fiery, passionate, just well-oiled machine. You talk about, top gear. This is rock music done right. Congratulations. Just so much fun to watch.
Thank you so much. That was our first original gig back after the pandemic. And with you, seeing all the bands that when you're working, you don't get to see. You hear about them. You know the people. You see them on a Monday or Tuesday night. But, hey, check out my show. Only happens in a festival situation.
No joking.
Yeah, that was one of the most special things about the thing. But I think for everybody, not only do we just don't get to see each other very often, but, having come out of last year and everything, it was so nice, especially at this time, with the mass restrictions starting to, everybody's just relaxed, because pretty much everybody there, I think, had been vaccinated.
One of those things I love about those festivals is back when I was touring Banana Blender Surprise, it would be the opening act, and guitar players generally always have somebody to hang out with. But I was always hanging out with the headliner's bass player because they're like, "Hey, let's talk bass. You can't do that in a van." So it was. I didn't get to talk as much bass as I wanted to on that day, but that many bass players in one facility. Look out!
Yeah, and about 5 of them were Mark.
Mark Riddell.
Yeah, what a beast.
He could not be stopped. And acoustic guitar, too. He's the guy just blows my mind. Eric, go ahead.
I think the acoustic guitar was superfluous.
Somebody call Mark.
It was Japanese. So, Alan, I need to ask you about Eric, that's your time. Alan, I need to ask you about your. We were just talking about our get back here. We were just talking about we did our. We released our. Of course, today is Tuesday, but on Thursday we did our pre-order for the CD. So we were talking about the process, and we're just talking about this, recording and stuff like this. So you recorded in the same spot we did with young Master BB, and what was the best part of your experience in that process?
Yeah, well, first off, congratulations on the new CD. The artwork looks awesome. Pre-orders are such the way to go. It just makes sense for everybody. And I think that's the way that helps the music retain the value. Buy it early. So versus some of the GoFundMe campaigns, et cetera, I think it's much better to say, hey, help us make this record. Your fans are excited. You get the cash, and people remember that the CD's $10 or $15 and vinyl's more. And so it's earlier access than the line, and the people that are most excited about what you're doing are the ones that are happiest to put their money out first. And obviously it helps with production estimates and all those sorts of things. So it's just really a great way to do it. So congrats on that record. I've heard a few tracks and it's awesome. I'm excited about holding the thing in my hand and just cranking it up as loud as it'll go, and then maybe a little louder and listening to it. So
I'm just watching Eric.
So, but what was the best thing about recording with Paul Beebe and BB Gun Studios? It's really the team and the environment. Paul played bass on the newest track, Yeah, Yeah, Yeah. He also played bass on I Miss You, which came out in December of last year, and there's a real cool video on it. And Paul playing bass just really brings something. It makes him dig in more on the production level. Not that he doesn't as a producer, but I bring in as much. I basically come into the studio and with as much of the song as I can develop on my own. And being such a hardcore live band guy and the interplay of the band, I really want to foster that in the studio. And arrangements will change the day of recording. We'll kind of hit a wall of, okay, we all know the song, but then it's hone in on the fine details of let's add a section here. Okay, I got to write another verse of lyrics. No problem. That's the right space, and just really nail that groove and the rhythm track, and letting the song evolve in a cool, natural way. But it's also moving. Every time I would go into the studio, I would know what I wanted to get done and would get a little bit more done, and then just constantly refining it. And then you get to the mixing process. But every time I did that, I was just thinking about the feel that we had when we nailed the rhythm track. And that felt like I was live with the guys, and that's how to keep the excitement in a record. It sounds like we're all in the same room at the same time, and we were at one point. Well, actually, COVID, we weren't in the exact same room. We were in the same building.
No joke. That's We've heard the live stuff. We've heard it translates so well from the studio to the stage. Which there's to me there's been so many. Sorry, and this is my last. I need to get Eric's take on this too, because Eric has been he's just so instrumental in putting this. The drums are. I've always said it. The drums are shit. Your band shit. Start again. Go away. Or go start again. But the stuff, the thing that always misses with me is you buy a CD at a show and you take it home, and that's not the same band that you just saw. It sounds like Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is playing a joke on you or something. He's or Minnie Mouse. But if you take your stuff, you take your music and you bring it to the stage, and it fizzles out, or it's great live in this, whatever. You've done a really good job on that, and I really appreciate you letting Paul play bass, because that guy is such a slouch. It's just nice for him to get a little record time. But it translates so well to the same. I mean, just really hats off, just tremendous job. And I'm also impressed too that you're being such a great bass player. You bringing somebody else in. I mean, that's that's big. That's big.
Well, thanks. It just kind of happened. The single I released at the beginning of the pandemic, "Beautiful Sounds." I had Mark on it. We had 3 guitars cutting live, and I wanted to play guitar so I could direct the band a little easier. And we hit a roadblock of it was good, but I would just kind of said, "Hey, Mark, I think I'm holding you back. You're playing exactly what I played on the demo. There's something that's not translating with how we're playing it live. So handcuffs are off." And I love playing the bass all over the map. I played bass, and we would track with me playing bass and another guitar player more often than not. But as the songs get a little bit more involved and more pieces, I think having another bass brain in there, they're going to add something to the song that I haven't thought of, and let them play what feels best. They're the ones that's locking in with Eric. And me micromanaging a great player is a great way to ruin a song or a session. So there's some ideas and in a general sense, but it's very short discussions. We just keep moving, like, hey, this may be a little too staccato here. Like, try, longer notes, a little more sustained, see what that does to fill out this precise gap. And I also think in great bands, when you don't have lineup rotations, but it's the core, it's the people that are there that kind of know where their frequency is. And so some bass players play with a higher tone, it's matching all the tones, and this is my space, and everybody loves it that you define that space. So Mark and Paul playing on the latest singles they've hit a different sonic space than I would hit. And I'm also playing guitar. I'm kind of naturally going to the sonic space I've always gone to as a bass player. But with the Telecaster, it's much brighter, of course. So it's not exactly the same, but I think of everything I do, not only in music, but in life as a bass player. How do you put things together to create something that's larger than the sum of the parts? And how do you set somebody else up for success? And just all these little trade-offs that happen naturally in a band and without discussion. We know when Eric's pushing on something, and we all respond to it. Or when Jim Hinkle's playing a solo, it's the arrangements will go until we're done playing on the jam section of Beautiful Sounds. So having as many great players on a record, they're also key to the fold. I've heard some amazing players come in as sessions, and they're all name guys. And it's like, wait, this is a country dance hall band, and you've got, Tony Levin and Kenny Arnoff is the rhythm section. All phenomenal players, but it doesn't even sound like they're in the same room sometimes, and maybe they weren't. So it's that messy middle that really makes the magic, and having guys that and it's been great kind of branching into original music. It's all the band has been locked in through the Alan Oldies band for years, but Eric. But bringing original music, the band was already tight and the songs were new, and that brought a fresh air burst of energy to everybody. So you have the working unit with new material. That's a way to really grow, and that's all of that's happened at BB Gun Studios. And I just got to say, since All Over the Map came out in 2019 was the last time I was on SlapperCast. Man, how long ago does September 2019 feel to you guys?
Stop. Yeah, crazy, man. Did Jack play on the record?
Jack did not play on the record. The latest one, Eric played drums, of course. Paul Beebe played bass, and I did everything else. I played all the guitars and did all the vocals.
Yeah. No, I was stunned. You guys sounded so good at that was one of the greatest moments of the day for me, was getting to watch you guys play. I was particularly stunned at how well you and Jack Saunders, by the way, I'm talking about, how well you and Jack blended your guitars together. It just sounded like you've been playing that stuff for years. Was there a lot of work that went into that, or did Jack work on those parts on his own, or what's the story there?
Yes, Jack worked his butt off on the songs and early, and it was sending me very detailed questions about what to play, like who's playing this part, where's the handoff, and just an awesome discussion of being prepared for the rehearsal. We had one rehearsal. Jack didn't have any notes, and he nailed everything. Jack Saunders is, Eric and I played with him and Mark Riddell also in the Randy Weeks band. And it's just, I love his spirit of playing music, and he's so tasteful, and just such I was thrilled and honored that he wanted to do the gig, and he's going to play with us again in July. So that's a great thing.
Sorry, where are you playing in July?
July 22nd in Galveston, Robert Kuhn's Thursday concert series in Maynard Park, and that's gonna be a great time. Stage looks cool. I'm sure it's gonna be a hot one, but it really is great. Jack Saunders is just such a great guy and a great attitude and phenomenal player. And it was a thrill. I heard about Shake Russell and Dana Cooper on KOL in the 80s. Even before I had a guitar, I was just like, wow, this guy is a legend, and so enthusiastic, and kind of, hey, can I do it again? Like, yeah. I got your number.
Yeah, man. He is just the coolest. I've seen like you. I'm sure I'd seen Jack play with Shake and Dana many times in the past. Just being a side guy, and I guess it's just that. But he's also a great singer and stuff too. I was watching some stuff of his recently too. But he's great producer, great sound engineer, just the whole package, man.
And great guy. That's something I learned really probably about 25 years ago. I had a biker band called Maddox, and tons of Allman Brothers, ZZ Top, Bob Seger, Creedence. And that was the first band that I fronted. And it was a great band when we were all on stage, but off stage, it was just like, hey, I don't babysit. I don't want drama. Do the job. And whatever you do off stage is fine as long as you can do the job. But I'm not a babysitter. And if that's the kind of band you want to be in, it's not mine.
I dig it.
Eric, say it.
Alan, let's talk about the new single. Yeah.
So the single comes out on Friday, June 11th. So it's doing great, and I'm really excited about it because the way that I've been writing kind of for singles versus an album is there's a high watermark that I always want to be going beyond and hitting it one song at a time. I've written some songs, I've recorded some songs. I was like, that's not as good as the last one. And so I don't want to release that as a single. And just because I write and record a song doesn't mean it needs to come out as a single. But I really wanted a song coming out of the pandemic that was positive, that was rock and roll, and about loving, a celebration of loving, laughing, living, and dreaming. And all wrapped up in a power pop package. So having a song that's excited about the world and excited about things, yeah, not just okay, but yeah, is where I wanted that thing to go, and we got there, and it was a blast recording, and Eric's great, as you guys know. Like, what do you want the feel for this to be? And I just said, hey, this is power pop. Bring the Bunny Carlos, Dennis Dykin, Smithereens, Teenage Fan Club, Big Star, and kind of said like, hey, this is definitely a rock song. It's not a ballad. It's a rocker, and it feels so good, and it's positive, and it catches the ears, and it's a celebration of life, and the best kind of like rock and roll. Let's go. We can do this again. We should, and we are.
Love it, man. Very well put.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Alan, take us into that room, or that that area when you sit down. I mean, do you? I like to regurgitate riffs that I've had and kind of just hum over them, and just do you sit down, pen and paper, write lyrics, or do you play something on a guitar and sing something? How is your just go through your process? Give us a little insight, and Chad, hit record on this. I want to steal some of the ideas here.
So the process is I always have some riffs that I'm just noodling around. Sometimes I come up with a song lyric, or hear somebody say something at the convenience store. I'm like, ooh, I gotta write that down and go grab my guitar. But I differentiate between a riff and a song. And a riff is something that I'll noodle around on and keep coming back to and figure out it's one part, maybe two parts. I can't figure out how to resolve the riff, and I'll just play it endlessly. And sometimes the song reveals itself quicker than others, and sometimes it just doesn't. I've written some full songs musically through the pandemic that has the intro, has the chorus, has the verses, has the bridge, and I can't figure out what the hell it's about. But for me, I know I dig in if I have two or three parts that come together, and whether that's a lyric or it's a riff or it's a chorus idea, that makes me dig in and say, all right, instead of scribbling lyrics in a ballpoint pen or a pencil, like I just keep writing and writing and writing, and then can hone it down. And then it's a transition from going from ballpoint pen to Sharpie. That's like, okay, things are moving here. This is the structure, can sing it through. And I'm kind of thinking, what do I need here? Do we need a guitar hook? Is there going to be a harmony vocal? Just what is this line? So it's once I get the momentum, that's when I'm willing to dig in and push. And that feels organic, and it works for me. There's some riffs on the last record. The last song we recorded was called What If? And I had that riff for months. And I was facing a deadline. It's like, this song's either happening tomorrow or it's not happening. And it was able to pull it together and see how it fit together in a way that I hadn't before. And the lyrics came very, very fast. And I think I erased the demo at 1 a.m. and for a 11 a.m. session, and cut it again before the session just to say, here's something. So, but that's the process. It'll start either with the lyric when I'm walking around, maybe not around the music. And I know John Prine and Guy Clark Guy Clark in particular was like, don't write with the guitar around. And so, come up with the melody, come up with the lyrics, and whether that was 100% of his process or not, I'm not sure. But there's a good lesson there. You can write without the instrument and come back to the instrument. And I do that sometimes, and there'll be a melody, and then I'll pluck it out on the guitar and figure out what I want to do with that. But it's kind of like the reverse of a puzzle, because not only are you fitting the pieces together, ultimately is the goal, but you're also building each piece and saying, all right, that one doesn't fit here, but this one does. And so some songs come quicker than others. The great Jimmy Webb, who is a phenomenal writer, he was like, I'm going to be in my studio with the piano from, a minimum of 6 hours a day. And then you have a masterpiece like MacArthur Park or Wichita lineman. And, there is something to the inspiration, perspiration of Edison that comes into play. And you can do all that work, 99% of the work, without the inspiration, but then you have, something that's sterile and it's missing a spark. But if you capture the spark and kind of figure out, here's a few pieces that connect, it really defines what you do with the rest of the blank page. And I creating is something, I'm much more inspired by a blank page than a form. That's the quickest way to shut up an artist, is to put a form in front of them. Like, well, why do I have to write in that box? This could be a paper plane. So the blank page of just filling the page and leaving white space or not is part of it. And I think that's definitely a huge part of writing music, and then recording it, just being very in the moment, just like you are on stage. If there's a happy accident, go do that. And being open to this is going until it's time to walk away from the painting. And that's always usually for me in mixing. And when you're just pulling your hair out over, you're obsessed with, oh, look at that painting. It's beautiful. But that knowing when to stop is as important as knowing when to start. And when to push on something versus when to let it breathe. And yeah. So that's my process, and it's if it fires me up to get 2 or 3 parts, I think I've got something, and then I can work it through to whatever it's going to be when it finishes. And I'll just it's been so long since I've done a Zoom style call, so I'm trying to be careful not to talk too much and be available for questions. But talking about bringing the record to the stage, the core elements are there: the melody, the hooks, and you do it with 1 or 2 guitars instead of 10. That's the difference between the core elements of the song being right versus, hey, we're digital masters and we can pull all these tricks off, and that's in the spirit and the energy of the song has to be is essential, and that's what you're representing in a live show. It can even take it beyond. The more times you play it, songs evolve. And
yeah, absolutely. That aspect of songs changing. I remember being used to getting, when I was a kid, getting so annoyed that you go see a band live and the arrangement of the song is not the same as it was on the record, or you buy a live album and it's like they're playing it differently than the record. Like, why are they doing that? Like, now I totally understand how that happens. You live with the song a while, it starts like you say, it starts to evolve every night you play it, every time you play it.
Are some of these songs the first time that you've did you record the songs and then play them live, or did you take them out first before you recorded them? Any work like that?
Just about all of them were played for the first time in the studio. And that's beautiful sounds. We played at a couple of gigs and kind of worked it out and felt like we had a great arrangement. And then the great Jim Hinkle was on that session, and instrumental. And he's every song I do, I run past him at some point in the process, even if he doesn't play on it. He's just got golden ears and knows how I work and how the team works and what I'm capable of and what I should push on and what not to push on. But it was kind of the moment we were talking about earlier where I just said, hey, something's not quite as good as it can be, and I think I'm limiting what Mark Riddell's doing on the bass. He's doing a great job. It sounds great, but Mark needs to put more Mark into the thing than Alan. I'm all over the song as it is. But we were having that discussion. We all knew that we could make it a little better, but we didn't know how. And Jim just says, quietly, says, well, what I would do, and everybody shuts up and listens, and that's the arrangement that's on Beautiful Sounds. And so that was that's how the team works really, really well together. It's like if Jim cares enough to say something about it, it's worth hearing, and that's going to be critical to getting the right take. And we got the right take the very next time. It's so learning the song in the studio, it keeps it exciting, and it keeps it fresh, but you kind of hit that point of like everybody's confident and you're recording all of them, but it's that confident, let's take a pause, let's digest it, and then go in with a renewed focus. And that's where we found a lot of the magic. Some songs we've gotten on the first take, and that's a great rock and roll story, but the reality is, Beatles were recording songs 50, 60 times before they decided that the second take was the one for the record.
Yeah, I never heard of those guys, but I'll look them up.
You're a fan of the Drifters.
Yeah, the homeless guys outside my house. Yeah, oh yeah. But the next record, I have vowed that because we're gonna do what. So the reason why I asked that question is because next time I think we're gonna take out the new songs first. I just want to do the next record as being. Obviously, shit changes in the studio, but I want to take stuff out on the road before we record the next record. So I'm working on, and what I'm doing is right now is in my head, even with songs and riffs that I have from years back, I'm changing them now because ECH comes along and he and Chad speak a new language, and there's a if you will, it's still the same river, but it just takes off in different areas. It goes off in different, and you have to. Well, you don't have to, but I want to go and follow those new. I want to go explore those new territories because it pushes you. As we're talking about bringing people like Jack Saunders in and Jim Hinkle and stuff like that, and having these great players on your record. I know that's why they were asking you all these questions, because they're like, "Hey, Patrick, take a hint." Not going to happen. But it pushes me when I hear those new ideas. It pushes me to go, "Hey, I'm going to sit down with a new sense of a new palette, if you will, or a new color scheme, or and I'm just going to go off in that direction and kind of and it really is, it truly is just the most it can be. I'm really glad to hear you say that you don't write something and record it. The bands, and I won't mention any names, Poison, just they record something and they just well, we recorded it, we got to release it, and they release this unfortunately, we all have a radio. We're all of the age where we listen to the radio, and this shit comes through. It's poisoning your head. So to hear, to hear that this is a craft, a real craft, and to take it seriously and to put real players on it and play to their strengths and have the ability to stand back and let that process happen. That's and that's why I thought. That's why I know the songs worked so well when we saw you play at Twangfest. Just such a, and then we talked about too, Eric's, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He's completely different in your band. It's quite remarkable.
You should remark, Eric.
Eric, what say you to that?
He's not listening.
It's all true.
See?
No, it's just you look at stylistically different things. And Alan's. I treat Alan's stuff more like singer-songwriter stuff. So you want to make sure that you're playing appropriately to not only make people move, but make sure that people can understand and hear the lyrics. That's what that's about. With Blaggards, obviously, we are allowed to stretch a little bit more. In kind of more of a hard rock kind of setting. So I think about all the great, with Alan's stuff, I think about, like the Russ Kunkles and the Steve Gads and the El Gato, the Hal Blaines, the guys that were really the studio guys that kind of like brought so much great drumming to to the singer-songwriter stuff. And then with Blaggards, as you think about more like, well, this is a little more aggressive, and you think about the Vinny Appice, you think about the Nickos, you think about the guys that were the Brian Downeys or whoever, and what would they bring to a song. That's how that process works.
Very cool.
Patrick, what you're saying about hitting the road with the songs before the studio, that's just as valid as coming in and crafting it in the studio. And Neil Young tours a new record before he records it. I've heard different things of like he doesn't play the song for the band before he hits record, and I've also heard he does a full tour of new material because he wants to see the audience response. And in doing it that way, you not only tighten up the band, but you know where the hook that the audience is responding to. And that is something that's taken me a while to get over in the studio of, it feels like you're in a vacuum and you don't have that feedback loop that we're used to as performance, which is instantaneous. And Banana Blender Surprise, our first record that I recorded on back in 94, it was our live show. I think we did we cut all the tracks for 13 or 14 tracks in a 6-hour session, including the setup and miking of everything. And I think the whole record's at 150 BPM. We were in such a hurry that was a lesson learned of like, maybe we should have a little more time. But David cut all of his vocals live with the band and then didn't come back to the studio ever on that record. There was some follow-up work with other singers and backing vocals, but there is something about that. We knew which songs went over best in our show. We were tight as hell and could just hit record and yell out the name of the next song so the engineer could realize we were on a different song. And so that's, when you have a working band that's out there and and you're building that relationship with your audience, that's also super important in the studio. And with All Over the Map, that was very difficult for me to kind of evaluate. It was a transition of introducing something new beyond Alan Oldie's band, which Oldies Forever. I love the band. It's just learning from some of the greatest songs ever written has really informed my writing process and arrangement process and recording process. Wild Thing was recorded by the Trogs. There was a symphony on the session that had the same manager, and they just waited outside in their van until the manager came, like the studio's clear. We got 15 minutes left in the session, and they scramble in and set up and play Wild Thing. And, some of these stories, whether it's absolutely accurate or not, it's still a great story. And it tells you, like, if you've got the right song, and I think that's part of the energy. The Kingsmen's Louie Louie, the singer got his braces tightened the day before the recording, and his mouth hurt. And the drummer sounds like he's falling off his drum stool with every drum roll he does and barely lands. It's like, it's so exciting. And that was also done in a very short manner. So there's a lot to be said for the excitement of we know the song and we're in here, go do it. And whatever the result is that incorporates who you are as an artist, who you are as a band, and understanding why people like what you do and how it's going to relate. All of those are a factor in making a great record, I think.
Where can we find the singles? Alan, where can we find your new single?
Great question. On all the streaming platforms. Yeah. Spotify, I have an artist page. It's on the Radar Release. That's a great way to find out when I'm releasing new music. It's also on Apple Music. And we were talking about this yesterday, Eric. Like every time I release new music, there's a new streaming platform. And it's worldwide, like Deezer and Tidal. It's just, I had somebody that listened to the I Miss You on Napster is how she found it. And she said, don't worry, I bought a copy on Apple Music. cool. I didn't know Napster even existed still.
Yeah.
Right.
And so everybody hears it through different places. And YouTube, I'm definitely doing a video for Yeah, Yeah, Yeah. It features some awesome artwork from Robin Whalen, who co-owns Double Trouble. And during the pandemic, she started doing pencil drawings, and they're really irreverent and cool and fun and sarcastic and positive all at the same time. And I commissioned her. She created an original piece of art for every verse and chorus, and there's even puppets in it, and it's really cool. So YouTube is really one of my sources of greatest. So I have as many streams on YouTube as many of the platforms. So suddenly we all, with MTV, we all became movie makers in addition to songwriters and recording artists, and that's a double-edged sword like anything else. I didn't get into rock and roll to lip sync Fanny Pack. So that's when somebody knew a Chuck Berry riff that I didn't know. I wanted to find it out and learn that. But there is something cool about visually creating a story around the song. And it's also, I'm happy that the single is coming out on the streaming platforms before the video, because that gives people an opportunity to create their own story and create their own visions of it. And sometimes a video can really ground you to, this is all the song means. And when the video started, with Thriller starting to tell a story beyond, I mean, that was a big deal. How early on in the process you saw Thriller, and that when it went more to movie making versus like, here's Elvis Costello and the Attractions looking cool, playing in front of a white backdrop, which was also really exciting. And that's more about the band and the artist, but you could still, each listener could still create their own story of what radio meant.
Will there be a record release party?
There isn't. I'm certainly going to have a party when the record comes out. So yes, there will be, but it's not a gig. It's not. We don't have a gig booked, and that's part of the transition from not knowing how quickly folks were going to get vaccinated and how things were going to open up. It just the timing of it was, sure, I'd love to do it the whole way, but also need to be open to the sooner it's out, the sooner people can hear it. And we've already played it live at the Brooklyn Twang Fest, and huge shout out to Luba Dvorak for putting that festival together. He represents what we have through the Continental Club and as working musicians. Luba moved from New York, and one guy told him, hey, you need to know about Rockin' Robin and the Continental Club. It was Eric Amble, great producer, and played with Steve Earle for a long time and toured with Joan Jett as a Blackheart, produced Mojo Nixon records. Just one of those great roots musicians. He told Luba, you need to meet Pete Gordon and Snit Fitzpatrick. And Luba comes into a scene that's it's a click, or it's if you're working and you get it and you're working hard, you're in the club. And Luba came in with knowing two people, and is just such a valuable member of the music community that has an idea and he runs with it and he makes it happen. It's not to like, hey, you guys should do this. And that day at the Continental Club, people were like, we should do this once a month. I was like, you have no idea. Luba's not going to be recovered until October from all the work that goes into putting 15 bands on, all the artwork, all the promotion, just all the interviews. It's a massive undertaking. But that was, it's just really awesome to see people come into the scene and take the attitude that we've all had for so long, which is, this is getting done. We're excited about it. we may not have all the pieces together, but it's one foot in front of the other. And each show you gain a new friend, each and supporter, and all this builds. And when there's a big deal, people will be there for the big deal.
No question.
Yeah,
I have to on that point, or just on that last piece too. Everybody needs to meet Pete Gordon. I know he's going to be thrilled to hear that. But Pete Gordon is not only the cornerstone of Houston music, but he is the guy does not sleep. The guy doesn't blink. The guy doesn't stop moving. He's a treasure. And again, people like yourself, Luba. I know you were doing this, long before that, but he's just a god. That's all there is to it. He is a god. And but I have to say too, because but we are just I can't wait for that next show, because we need to the beautiful thing about the Brooklyn Twang Fest was all these bands that played together sounded great together. There wasn't a band that came on there and said, "Hey, let's go get a fucking drink," or maybe even bury ourselves in the sand or something. I mean, every band mattered. Every band played their ass off. Every single, and it didn't matter if it was a guy with an acoustic, a guy with acoustic and accordion, or a guy. Every single person, everybody brought the thunder, and we were just so thrilled to be a part of that. And again, I'm excited for your record. I can't wait for you to see this. I want to, because we come from a show that day. So I want to be able to come to see you play this record, play your stuff, be able to sit down, enjoy the rock, as it's supposed to be. And I just, I really look forward to it. So we need to get all the links, all your favorite links, so we can post this with this. And I'm so excited for you, and I'm just so thrilled. It really it feels so good to not only to be at this point now, like you were saying, how far away it was since the last time we were, on this SlapperCast together, but to be where we are now, and to have the future, opening up, and everybody to be so receptive. I just can't wait for you, and I wish you the very, very best of all the success, and you deserve it, because nobody puts in the hours that you do, and nobody has the passion that you have. It's just really delightful, and I just we all just can't wait to see it on the shelves too.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks, and right back at you. And I know we're in the wrap up here, but I just got to say how bullish I am, and I'm excited for live music and original music right now. And not only the artists have been creating all kinds of stuff in this time, so we're going to see a surge of new music that's really going to be powerful across all genres. And I'm excited for the audiences who I think are ready for new music. I went through my whole record collection at least a couple of times, and all the Spotify stuff, and I love them all. But the opportunity with live music to go to a great venue like the Continental Club or ABGB's in Austin or anywhere else, like that's when you can go and hear new music just because you're at the cool club. And that's exciting, and there's pent-up demand, and the timing of y'all's new record is awesome, and it's exciting. It's a very, very exciting time, because we were deprived of something that's an essential life force for all of us, artists and audience and venues, and production staff and everybody that's built their life around music. That's really the key. And I know y'all have had a lot of discussions on, what is it, part-time professionals, or, if you
Yes.
build your life around music, you're going to have some, it's an awesome job, and it's difficult, but the rewards are you get to be up on the stage, rocking and seeing people rock along with you. And that's the people we meet through music are, that's the greatest compensation package for me, getting to meet you, Patrick and Chad and Eric. It's because we were seeing live music, and that's, think about how important those relationships are in all of our lives. and audience members too. I mean, it's not. I always have to throw it back to the audience because, if we put something out there and there's nobody to catch it, it's not sustainable. But and it's awesome. Blaggards are 15, 20 years, and
17 now. Yeah.
17, and you're still excited. The band's a teenager, and that means you're doing the right thing because you're exciting people and you're excited, and that's what's contagious, and that's what keeps the cycle going. And with everybody being cooped up and ready to get out, there's enthusiasm that's coming into all the clubs and with new music. I'm really, really excited for everybody that is part of the live music community.
Yeah. Yeah, me too, man. That's, again, very well put, very eloquent.
Yeah. We come to expect that now from you, and so it really is. You're a Snapple cap, a large Snapple cap, but it's truth and it's fact.
Right on. Well, thanks, guys.